This is episode 85, Grief and the Coronavirus.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of SLP's Wine and Cheese. I'm Deb.
And I'm Maria.
And here's our podcast.
For the quarantined SLP.
Who
Welcome.
just became a teletherapist.
Yes. Welcome. Yes, here you are.
It does show you that, because I remember when we did those teletherapy episodes, I was like, I just don't know. It sounds so tricky. And then all of a sudden, it just went from not teletherapy to teletherapy, and everyone just had to get into it.
That's very true. Yes.
That's how you learn.
That is how you learn. You just get immersed in it. It's a good word.
You should just toss babies in pools, and they'll just start swimming.
Okay, I feel like we should not condone that behavior. So.
I'm joking, but I've actually seen there are practices of that kind of, but I mean not aggressive.
Yeah, like being pushed in the pool. Have you ever been pushed inside a pool?
Yeah, I've been pushed in a pool.
Yeah,
not as an adult because I'm stronger now, but as a child, yeah.
Yes, same as a child.
Pushed in the pool is not as bad as a float floating over your head.
Oh, really? I say float.
And you can't get up, and there's a float on top. You're underneath the water, and there's a float. You're drowning. I think it's a Dane Cook joke.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you drinking, by the way?
I am drinking coffee, your finest type, from the grocery store, out of a Disney mug that says Deborah on it.
Nice.
And funny story, I got this when I was 10, so this is old. It's 21 years old, and it still is intact, which reminds me of two things. One, every time you throw something away, everything you've thrown away since you were 10 still looks like this unless somebody broke it or recycled it. So
interesting thought there you have.
I feel bad when I get rid of things. Not that I have a lot of things, but I'm just saying had I just thrown this in the trash, it would just be sitting in a
dump
landfill. Looking like this. Yeah.
It's a perfectly fine mug. And who would throw away a mug with their name on it,
Exactly. So definitely be sure to donate everything that you have that's intact. Don't throw things out. And then, when I was little, it was, in any gift shop, it always has name things like name keychains, name mugs and stuff. They would never have Deborah.
Really?
Yeah, they still have it. But nobody ever had Deborah. It would always be Debbie or Debra instead of Deborah.
Right.
So I was in Disney World, and I didn't happen to have any money, but I did have a pocket. And so this came home with me. I stole it.
Okay.
So
well. Cheers to living on the edge when you were 10.
Yeah. Cheers.
You wouldn't have the courage to do that now. So cheers to 10-year-old.
Only because it would be embarrassing to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I have guts.
True. So much more to lose now. So much more.
Yeah.
Plus you have money now to pay for it.
Exactly. And at that time, 10, no money. 31-year-old speech pathologist arrested at Disney World for stealing a mug with her name on it.
Although now it would be $20 for that mug.
Yeah. One question Deborah stated she never saw her name spelled correctly before.
Yes.
Couldn't leave without it.
So overzealous that she just grabbed it and ran. Poor impulse control. I have a mug with my name on it, and it's my favorite mug. So I hear you. And I'm 30, and this is now 31, but I did not steal that mug. I bought it from one of my favorite places.
Well, obviously you're a better person than me.
Obviously. I'm just so glad you said it, not me,
Yeah.
But I'm drinking kombucha, and I cleaned out the kitchen drawers today, and I found these little wine tags, and they're New York
cute
related. So I have put Broadway on it, the Broadway tag, and I just want to have a little shout out to New York. It's a very rough time period right now for New York. Everyone who's following the news knows that a very high death toll, and it's just the hospitals, like your sister was saying, who's a nurse, and we think we'll have her on the show soon.
Yes, we will.
Yes, so
first we're gonna have my stepsister Jillian on the show, and then after that Amanda will be on the show, who's a nurse. Jillian's a lactation consultant.
Okay, cool. Well, I have this peppercorn cheese, about the last of it, that I got from Vermont back when we were able to travel which
Right.
you really appreciate those little moments, even if it was a little weekend getaway. So definitely drink some tea. I got my kombucha bubbly tea. Cheers, Deb, to you. Even though you're not supposed to cheers with coffee, so metaphorical cheers.
Oh, why?
I don't know. It's like this thing I heard in Greece. It could just be made up. Could be
A
entirely
lot of rules.
Too many rules. You're right.
You know how New York is pretty, there's so many rules right now, so we can't be outside.
Mm-hmm.
It just really makes me want to call my wedding photographers and do like a engagement photo shoot. So, because I could go to all the places that I'd have to be worried about crowds.
You could.
I know, right?
But I mean, that's ballsy. I mean, if you were 10 and robbed
just
a mug,
being outside and far away from people, I don't want to do any inside.
But parks are open.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, so people might be at like Brooklyn Bridge Park.
Not as much though.
Not as many. No.
Not as many.
No.
Not as much. Not as many.
So many. Maybe.
So for this segment, we wanted to have just a whole tips and tricks segment. We usually only share one, but we're feeling very excited with all and generous with all our tips and tricks. So we're going to talk about 3 teletherapy tips and tricks and 3 mental health tips and tricks, because right now it's really important to think about your mental health. And if you keep listening to this episode, we have an interview with a licensed mental health counselor, Maria Karas. Her name is Maria as well.
Oh,
it's a Maria episode. It's a Maria episode.
Oh, yes. Maybe we should rename it. Maria.
But shout out to your Deborah mug. So,
thank you.
It's wine and cheese. It's not only just me, you and I, Deb.
Yes.
So, do you want to go over your teletherapy tips first, or do you want that coffee to sink in? I call coffee teletherapy fuel.
Oh, I can go. I'm fine.
Sure.
Okay. So teletherapy. My first tip for teletherapy is, you love that cheese. It's delicious.
I'm really into this cheese. It seems like I'm really into your teletherapy, and I am. But this cheese is really fueling.
That's the Oprah cheese?
My attention. Yeah.
Ah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Should I be saving you some? But I don't know when I'm going to see you.
No, it's fine. Don't you worry.
No,
you enjoy that cheese,
that
Oprah cheese.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay, so my teletherapy tips. 1, is use what you have. So there's lots of things that you can do on the teletherapy platform with things that you have already. So don't go buying everything and downloading everything. You're not even going to use all of those things if you do that. I have found PowerPoint to be my most helpful tool, and also having Google Drive on my phone. So what I've done is, let's say I want to use a book or some flashcards or something.
Before you go there, what platform are you using? Before we get crazy.
I'm using everything now. At this point, I have all the Google stuff, Google Classroom,
I'm using all Google stuff. Google Classroom, Google
Meet. One thing is Microsoft, and I'm also on DoxyMe.
Okay.
I'm on everything.
I'm just on Google because I can.
You can use this with everything. So what I've been doing, on my phone, I have Google Drive, and that's where all my files are.
Yeah.
So I'll take pictures with my phone of the material. I'll create a PowerPoint on my phone, and then I'll just format it on the computer, because all you're doing is going insert camera roll on that slide, instead of I took all these pictures. Now I have to email myself these pictures. Now I have to put them on the slide. No, I just my camera roll on my phone, put them on a PowerPoint. Don't worry about how pretty it looks. Then I delete the pictures to get rid of the storage space. And then I'll go on the computer and format it. So I've taken pictures of the Bjorn speech cues. I've taken pictures of the KSLP Apraxia cards. I've taken pictures of Dr. Seuss books and other stories. And so using what you have and just a couple free apps are really going to be beneficial to you. And that's my first tip. Do you want to go back and forth with tips?
Yeah, sure. I'll just piggyback off that. So let's say you do something like that, on PowerPoint, which I have used one of your PowerPoints, the core, which is on our Patreon, the core word Go, and all the different ways you could use Go, which is excellent. And it's great for the kids that have a device. So what I did for the kids that have a device.
And kids that don't have devices, kids that you want to expand their to 2 or 3 words, I've been using it with them.
Yeah. as of right now, I don't have too many kids with a device, just like maybe 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
So primarily it's not a device, but even like the ones that have a device, I wasn't able to download. Like there is a way if you go to like for LAMP, this is for the PRC website, which I couldn't do it on my Chromebook. So I'm like, all right, I can't. So I just Googled images, lamp, and just showed the mom, like, all right, here's go, here's
Mm-hmm.
on, like with my mouse, just to show her. So she was like, oh, okay, I see it here on the device. And she'll be like, go on. And then the kid can see it. So I really like using your PowerPoints that you made. Thank you, Deb, for making
Thanks.
for me and for yourself and for your students. But mostly I've been benefiting, so thank you. No,
You're welcome.
my
Anytime.
students have been benefiting, but me also because it's like eliminates a lot of guesswork. So thanks. But on top of that, I've been using a token board in a different browser, and you can make token boards. I guess on PowerPoint, I use Board Maker online, and then they just drag the star over. And I've been using the token board, and then if I want them to say a specific sentence like I see a blank, I have that written as a sentence strip in Board Maker, so they're able to follow along like with what I want them to say, and then they can earn a star immediately after they say it.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta increase
Great.
increase the expressive language, and reinforce that.
Perfect. And then so I'm going to piggyback off you for my
Go
second
for it. Yes.
therapy tip. So for any of my kids who have required like extra support in terms of motivation to participate, I've found like those who have like more complex communication needs, they need some breaks just like they would in the face-to-face therapy. So what video I've been using is The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, when Winnie the Pooh's a little black rain cloud, and he wants to get the honey from the bees, so he goes up in the balloon. And that scene just has lots of things that you can talk about, and a lot of the target sounds that I've been working, like CV and CVC words. So we have like poo and honey and bee and whoa, because he's like flying around.
Nice. Those are good prompt words too, like
they're
lip rounding.
Yeah. So anybody with like any sort of motor planning, lots of stuff, and it's exciting, and I just love that scene personally. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it. I will have to check that out because that seems like very interesting. We'll link it in the show notes. You'll email it to me. So don't go crazy, everyone. It's in the show notes.
Yes. Yeah. And it's great. I love when Christopher Robin's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm a little black rain cloud, of course, because he rolled around in the mud. So he looked like a rain cloud so that he could disguise himself from the bees so he can get the honey. Yeah. And so all I do with that is all of the platforms that I use allow for screen sharing. You don't have to give them control of the screen. That's not always available, and an available feature, but you could just put it on the screen, and then it's not so long. It's like less than 3 minutes maybe. So it's a good break. It's a non-guilty break, and you can also work on some words.
Awesome. Yes. Non-guilty break. I'm piggybacking off of you. We did not change our tips beforehand. My second tip is to give sensory breaks. So whether it's with a video, which I think is great too, and you could always like pause the video and have them describe it, and then like ready, set, and then you say go, and you can play it or hit it. I like making them say hit it. I don't know why. But
hit it's good. Yeah.
Hit it. I'm like, all right, you know what? You need a break. Let's get up. Mom, let's just give them 10 jumps. 2 or 3 of my kids, they have like trampolines in their house. So I'm utilizing that.
Yeah, I've seen that. I'm thinking I need that.
All right. I mean, it is a good workout.
Yeah.
So why not, Yeah, but you didn't want to spend $8 on cereal though, so I don't.
But that was going to make me fat.
Got it.
Got it. Yeah.
So I've been incorporating sensory breaks, and I've actually reached out to my students' OT, and she was nice enough to share with me their sensory diet. And I'm like, I see here, like, oh, they could push like a laundry basket if they fill like books or something, fill it, and then they could push it. So I haven't tried suggesting that one yet because that one's like a little bit more planning time.
Yeah.
But definitely the trampoline and just getting up and jumping, or at the end of a session, they earn to dance. One of my kids likes to dance. Yeah, he's so into it. I'm like, I'm like his number one fan. I'm like, yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Dancing, you know?
Dance party.
Dance party. You know, I'm all about that. But that's my second tip. So
great.
What's your
so my third tip is so let's say we're having some lack of participation or we're having some struggle in terms of behavior, and this is not an individual with pronounced sensory issues or complex communication needs. This might just be an elementary aged individual in speech. I have, since I'm taking advantage of being in such close contact with the parents, I have ended meetings, and I've mentioned I would call or text the parent and say they can rejoin when they're ready, or I've put them in the waiting room, or yes, the doorbell's ringing. I have an app now.
Wow. Cool. You are great. You are very high.
I have to answer it. Mike has no pants on. Can we pause?
Brief pause.
All right, I'm back. Sorry.
Great. No worries. Oh, what's that? What'd you get?
I don't know. It's an unboxing video. It's an impromptu.
Wow, an unboxing video. It's like the Kinder eggs, which I had one yesterday. Those are quite delicious.
It's underwear.
Yay. But maybe Mike needs pants.
Listen, I guess this is quarantined life, self-quarantined life.
Right.
Pants are optional. Who knows if I had pants on right now?
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm so happy about my legging supply.
You are.
Yeah, I have like 7 pairs that I love, and 1 pair that I'll tolerate. So that's like how often I have to do laundry.
I think that's great. It's a really good leggings ratio you got there. So you were in the middle of. Oh yes, your third tip is just pretty much. Sorry, can't.
I remove myself because I can't control what they're doing. Like there's nothing I can say. Like I will make attempts that's like, we can watch a video or we'll play a game next. But like if I'm not getting the participation that I require, since I am frequently texting the parents to like initiate and confirm each session, they are in close contact with me. So so I'll turn off my video so that they only see my picture. So I'll like take myself away until they're ready to participate. And that's just what's worked for me.
That's great. How do they let you know they're ready? You could hear them still.
Yeah, I can still hear them. Or if I ended it completely, the parent they'll like request to start it again. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And then you would probably just indicate that in your note. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Questions. So
I would say that they required like maximum support to remain on task and focused, and the session had to stop and restart due to lack of compliance.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
nice. So
that's what happened.
Speaking of taking things easy, if anyone's on like spring break right now and they're not really required to do teletherapy or whatever, state by state is different. But I posted today in the my Google Classroom, there's live webcams at the San Diego Zoo, and there's a ton of like different webcams, and the kids can like see all different things. But I figured, what's more exciting than a San Diego Zoo or a zoo and animals? So I posted that link. So that's just another great thing, like those live webcam videos. Take advantage of them, and eventually if you start the teletherapy, you could talk about them. Let's write about it. What did you like? So you could just go somewhere else, kind of escape. Similar to a book, but just it's more realistic, it's what's happening. So I thought that was cool that they're offering those, especially for like high school students too, like, oh, let's go check this museum out, something like that. But
that's great. Yeah, so many people have suggested that to me, and I haven't done it just yet, but
I haven't done it just yet either.
Yeah,
I will.
I think because I just watched Tiger King, so I'm like, I'm done with zoos for a bit.
I am gonna watch that once we are done with this interview. So hold on to that. And Parks and Recreation, love that show.
Yeah, you're obsessed. I love it.
I am obsessed, and it's okay to be obsessed with things sometimes,
Yeah.
So speaking of being obsessive, we want to talk about mental health. Please hold for a brief commercial break. This episode is brought to you by Therapy Travelers. Therapy Travelers is a school staffing agency that places SLPs, PTs, OTs, school psychologists, special ed teachers, and behavioral interventionists in local and travel school districts. Their mission is to attract, empower, and retain the finest therapists so that every human can manifest their potential. Check out the show notes for more information about Therapy Travelers. This episode is brought to you by The Sensory Studio. The Sensory Studio is a pediatric private practice with 2 convenient locations in Staten Island, New York. Traditionally, The Sensory Studio offers school, center, and home-based speech and occupational therapy through private medical insurance. Right now, The Sensory Studio is offering teletherapy sessions for speech and occupational therapy through a simple email link to all New Yorkers. Please email them at info@thesensorystudio.com or call 718-979-5678 to reach their parent coordinator. Also, check out the show notes for more information.
Yeah, so what has been working for me is just to follow my intrinsic motivation, and that's just what feels rewarding internally for me. And what I like to do is to create, and I have been using boom cards a lot to make my drawings come to life and to create stories. And these are things that I enjoy doing, and they also help me prepare for work. So my advice to everyone is to follow your own intrinsic motivation and don't compare yourselves to others and think like, I'm not mental healthing right, and I'm not teletherapizing right, and I'm not relaxing right, because what works for me is to create and be active, and what doesn't work for me is to do too much sitting still, binge watching TV, or
right.
like I like to do that at night.
Yeah, at night is definitely a binge watch. Do what makes you happy. Follow your heart in that sense, right?
And there's no rules.
There's no rules.
In terms of
I like to create things too, but I went in a little different direction. So I finally discovered that we had a French press in the back closet. So, cleaning out your closets and stuff, you'll find things. So we have a French press. So I'm very excited that I made like my own iced coffee, because the way it works, for anyone who doesn't know, is ground coffee beans, and then you just add hot water, and then eventually you just like push it down, it strains all the beans. And it sticks to the bottom, but it brews the coffee. So I'm excited to try a cold brew, which it would have to sit like over 24 hours with like cold water, just regular, I guess, cold room temperature water. And I'm excited to have my own cold brew coffee. And then I saw with the coffee grounds, I put more water, and then I water the plants with some of that, like diluted. So I've been doing that. And then I take some of the coffee grounds and I mix it with my face wash, and I give myself an exfoliator with coffee grounds. And with the rest of the grounds, you put the grounds in a ice cube tray, and then you melt coconut oil, which I have a jar of coconut oil, and then you add the melted coconut oil on top of the coffee grinds, and you put it in the freezer. And now when you're ready to take a shower, you have like a body scrub with just coconut oil and coffee grounds.
Wow, I did not know that. I will certainly try that. Wow.
So I'm super excited of all the different ways I've been like utilizing what's already available to me with just the coffee grounds. Don't throw out your coffee grounds.
I do every day. I'm going to have to stop that.
You should really stop that. And I've thought of all the coffee grounds I've thrown out, and I'm like, so we got to save the planet, one coffee ground at a time.
Right. Yeah.
So why not, So I've been doing that. I've been reading audiobooks. I'm excited to start the Harry Potter series. And, of course, my everyday meditation. So that's what's been working for me. But what works for me is like, different from you. Like, I know Deb's sending me the boom card she's making. I'm like, how are you making boom cards? But you said you like it. So I'm happy for you,
It's fun because I made the pictures. I'm not buying clip art or anything or using somebody else's art. It's my own. So it's exciting to me.
Good. I mean, I could see how that's exciting. And you like art, and it's, hey, listen, we had that whole episode about art therapy. it is stress relieving. So now you're making your art come to life. So I could see how that's exciting and stress relieving as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Then we'll get to our interview. So ciao from me for now.
Bye. Maria will be back, but this is it for me. I'll see you next time, guys. Here.
Bye. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of SLP's Wine and Cheese. I'm Maria, and I'm joined now by the licensed medical health counselor named Maria Cara. Say hello, Maria.
Hi everyone. I am actually holding up a cup of tea right now.
Yes, she is. She's ready to go.
Yep, it's a green tea. I keep it very simple with my tea, and I just put a little honey into it, and I'm all set.
You could have green tea late at night.
You know what? I feel like with coffee and tea, yeah, I'll stay up, but eventually I go to sleep, and then I just feel like sometimes even when I'm tired, caffeine doesn't help me anyway. So it's like, what's the difference?
Gotcha. You're like, I might as well drink it.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, YOLO.
Yeah, exactly. YOLO with your
YOLO in this quarantine with my cup of tea.
Exactly. So Maria, you were like texting me earlier and you're like, I want to be professional, so I'm not going to have alcohol. And I'm like, I like this. This is good. We're being very, very professional now. So I'm abstaining from alcohol too. I'm drinking this lavender melon kombucha tea, and it's really good. Have you heard of kombucha tea?
You know what? I heard of the term kombucha, but I never heard kombucha tea.
It's funny because I was FaceTiming with my cousins from Greece, and they're like, what's that? Kombucha? We don't have that here. But it's fermented tea. So there's like active live bacteria cultures in here, and it's very good for your gut.
Oh, that's good.
And it's like spritzy. It's like a nice spritzy tea. And it's fruity and it's good.
Great.
It's lavender flavored, and I love anything lavender.
Yeah.
And actually, random fun fact about lavender, it originates from the Latin verb lavar, which means to wash. And I like that concept. It's like I'm washing myself.
Yes. And it's interesting because I've known you a good amount of time now, and we both have the same name. And not only do we have the same name, but we're also both Greek. So we definitely have a lot in common with, I'm only a quarter Greek. I'm not this
okay, I'll teach you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, oh, first of all, let's do a metaphorical cheers for the screen. And then Yamas. There we go.
Yamas.
There we go.
Kombucha.
There we go. Yes. So we definitely have the same name, and that might get confusing now, but hopefully the audience will differentiate our different voices.
Yes. And I think my voice, at least I think my accent is pretty strong and thicker than yours. So I'm sure people will get the difference maybe. So
Maria, where are you from?
Okay, so just a little bit of background. I was born in Brooklyn. See, this is where the accent's coming out.
Go.
I was born in Brooklyn.
No, let it out, girl.
And I moved to Staten Island. I was like 2.5, and I haven't moved out of Staten Island. I've been born and raised here, and I don't mind it. I know a lot of people will complain about it, but I don't know. I just keep it positive, and I look at I look at the positives, and
you're
near my family and friends. I have I have what I need at home. So
that's good. So you got what you need, and you feel comfort in that.
Yes.
So Maria, you have been a licensed mental health counselor, LMHC, since October 2017. And you went to St. John's for undergrad, just like I did, and Fordham for grad school.
Yes.
And you are the owner of your very own private practice, Maria K. Caras.
Yes.
Licensed mental health counselor. So bravo for that.
Thank you.
Cheers.
It's fun. Cheers to that kombucha.
Yep. Kombucha. Yamas. There you go.
Yamas.
Greek words on this show. Very educational.
Yes. It's funny to hear someone say to me, I'm the owner of my private practice, because it's still pretty new for me. I started it April of last year. So it's basically, it's funny. It's actually a year from today, because
What? That's
yes,
so funny.
now that I come to think of it, it's a year from today, because I started paying for my space April 1st of last year. So this is pretty cool. I'm, that April Fool.
So happy anniversary.
Yes, happy
Yeah,
anniversary
look at
to my
you.
practice.
Cheers. This is your celebration.
Yes, kombucha.
Kombucha. Cheers
Yes.
again. That you are the second person that I have interviewed that, as you're talking about your business, the same thing, an owner also of a Staten Island business.
Oh,
Must be a
wow.
Staten Island thing. She was like, wait, we opened up 4 years ago from today. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
Happy anniversary. And the same thing is happening to you right now. So happy anniversary to you.
Thank you. And it's funny, out of all days, April Fools, people that know me well know that I do enjoy this holiday, because in the past I would do like funny April Fool's pranks on people, and it's just such a weird time to do that this year. I haven't done anything like that, because I would do the old school way of like, oh, guess what, and then blah blah blah, and then April Fools, and I haven't done any of that today, because I just know it's such like a difficult time for everyone, and I don't want to offend anyone, or people are going through a lot right now. So but I wish this was an April Fool's joke right now, that we have to be stuck in our house. And
I agree with that.
I wish they could just go on the news right now and just say, okay, guess what? April Fool, there's no coronavirus, but that would be great.
That would be great. That would be very intense.
Yeah.
I actually did a few April Fool's jokes today, because I'm like, I meditated. I used the Calm app. Do you use that app?
You know what? I never used it, but I heard about it. Headspace is pretty popular as well, so I've used that a few times. So
yeah, I love that app. So I always meditate, like every day. I try to get to it, and the title of today's was humor, and it was like, it had like a nice quote about humor, and I was like, all right, I try to incorporate a little bit. So I try to prank a few people. I pretend.
And did it go well?
It did go well. I scared my boyfriend when he walked in. I was like, I don't know. You just got to keep some fun and joy.
Listen, humor, if we don't have humor right now, it's even more difficult. So, I mean, I thought to myself too, I could have just done an April Fool's joke, but the time went so quickly. Like, I can't believe it's already 9:00 at night.
Yeah. And ready to be like laying down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this tea's going to keep me up a little bit. So.
There you go. Party. Yep.
Yes. Party at,
home.
quarantine style.
Speaking of partying, we know each other from St. John's, right? From undergrad.
Yes.
And you were active with St. John's campus ministry, where I worked as a grad internship. So that's actually where we met, where I remember you were volunteering a lot. And I thought that was like really nice and noble of you. So did you know from then that you wanted to get into counseling?
So, what's interesting, because I'm on a speech pathologist podcast, that originally when I was a freshman in St. John's, I actually was thinking about speech pathology.
I feel like I remember you telling me that. And I was like, yes. Was I like, do it? I'm doing it.
Yeah. And you know what? The more I think about it, looking back, yeah, it was an interest, but the more I thought about it, psychology was always in the back of my mind. And, I had to self-reflect a lot, really think about, because, granted, okay, even if you change your major and then end up graduating, then if you choose a different job altogether, it's not the end of the world. But, you still want to, like, try to figure it out while you're in college. Like, what do I really like? And psychology was just in the back of my mind, I always gravitated towards that, and I was very interested in it. And you know what, when I was in high school, just school in general, I was never interested in any subjects really. Like, I was a good student, but I was never one to be
like super passionate about it. Like,
yeah, like I wasn't like, oh, I love history or I love English. Like I didn't like any subject.
yeah.
I mean, I just love to talk and, you know,
Yeah.
be around friends, but that was like my favorite thing to do in school. But then, yeah, I was a good student. I mean, I did good.
Yeah. You like to socialize. You're definitely like a social person and you like to surround yourself in social
Yeah.
scenarios.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
A communication specialist. I could see the interest. Like, you know,
yes.
I see your interests were more in the psychology and
Yeah.
probably in like human behavior too, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh,
Yes.
why does that person do what they do? And
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's definitely in me. I feel like it was meant to be because I'm very happy where I'm at now. I mean, look, I'm not excited to be stuck at home right now, but I am definitely making the best of it. I'm still working from home.
you're doing like teletherapy?
Yes. So
So are SLPs, and it's so like all over Instagram and like what's good and like everyone don't worry, we're figuring this out together. No one panic, but because we're like have to do like speech sessions with like a
Mhm.
kid and
And
who's on the
how's that been for you?
I mean, for me, it's been well. It's going pretty well. You know, I'm embracing it, embracing the uncertainty. Like, oh, okay, he's on the floor today. All right, floor time method. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not like, let's go to the next room and sit at a table. Like, I'm just like, whenever that phone answers, like, I just go with that
Mhm.
moment. So, what about you and how your teletherapy is going?
Yeah, and before to get into my what I've been doing, it's interesting because I'm thinking now, I'm sure your creativity is really coming out when you are doing the speech therapy, because now we're in a situation where we have to be a little more creative with how we're going to engage and help others. And, you know, I just want to say, you know, you're doing amazing helping.
Oh, thanks.
You know, you're just, I mean, look, it's a difficult job,
Yeah.
just like knowing everyone's struggling and that you still have to be calm and positive for them and keep going. And I think that's one of the most difficult challenges for, you know, both of us and any therapist or anyone in a any, you know, any job really. But yeah.
Really in the career of like really working with healthcare education, like we're really meant to, like you're saying, be like the strong person, the person they can go to.
Mhm.
that's
Absolutely.
that's such a great point. I love that you can like see that and you also like recognize it in your own career as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, it's been, you know what, I've been, you know, doing phone and video sessions. I noticed that for myself personally, I do like the video better because you know, you could see the person, you could see their body language. You know, traditionally, I always like it in person in the office, but, you know, with everything happening, of course, we're limited with that. So, I mean, I'm always happy when a client says, yeah, let's do a video session because I'm like, you know, it makes the experience better. You know, because I feel like on the phone, yeah, it's helpful, but then, you know, you can't see them and you know, they could be saying, I'm doing great right now, but then maybe their face is like total opposite. So that's a little challenging, but you know, I do my best to say I'm providing phone and video just so they know that there is options and whatever's comfortable for the client. That's what I do best with that. So
Yeah, you really have to be flexible, and that's like a big thing. Like I know SLPs have to be flexible, but I feel like you maybe even more so, right? Like you really
Mhm.
have to be flexible.
Yes, and also just to let you know, I have a noise machine going on right now. It's you know, it sounds like the wind in the ocean right now. It's cool. So I'm in a separate room in my house where, you know, it's like a spare room and, you know, I use that as my work room right now because I don't want to feel like I would feel so uncomfortable doing this in my bedroom right now.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's your office.
Yeah. And
It's
then
your
I have like a
office space.
and then I have like a do not disturb sign. I mean, even though no one's barging in, but still like I'm still trying to make it like I'm still working. Like I want to feel like it's normal as it possible.
I
So
totally get that. No, that's great. And that's great that you have like that extra room or you don't have like kids knocking on your door like,
right,
"Mom," you know, "Mom,
right.
So I feel bad for I don't want to say bad. I feel like I really think it's probably very difficult if you have your own kids to worry about, also, and like your dog is barking like in the middle of the
Right. I mean, I'm lucky I don't have those type of distractions. I mean, I know that sounds terrible to say.
No, it's okay.
Obviously, if I had kids and a pet right now, I'd be very happy. But
No,
I'm just saying, work-wise, being stuck at home, it's definitely quiet, in which is a good thing for my work. So
same here. Although I do miss my dog a lot, and I want a dog, and I almost adopted one, but I did not. Anyway.
Oh, really?
Yes, because my landlords were gonna definitely say no to that, so I didn't even want to go there. I entertained it in my mind, like I want this dog.
But you never know in the future,
in the future. So you, Maria, you're a certified grief recovery specialist, right? So you have a special interest also in grief. So can you give us the definition of grief?
Okay, so, according to the Grief Recovery Institute, which I could give you the definition of theirs, but just in my own words, grief is normal. Everyone goes through grief. When people think of grief, they think death automatically, which is very common, and it's understandable why people, when a lot of people, when I ask them, oh, like, when you think of the word grief, what do you think of? And they say death. That's the first common
answer
thing that pops up. But, interestingly enough, that there's actually over 43 types of losses. So just to go back in my own words, like grief is where you're experiencing a loss, whether it's a person or a thing that's important to you, or even just a big change in your life, and or change in a familiar pattern of behavior. So, I mean, it makes sense, especially right now. Okay, even if, I really hope, your family and friends are okay right now. I don't know if you know anyone that died from coronavirus, but luckily for me, I don't know anyone personally with that either. But I know, and you, I'm sure, will agree with me, we're both grieving right now of this huge change in our lives. Me and you and everyone is grieving just alone of like, okay, now coronavirus is happening. Now you have to stay home. Now you can't go to work. Now you have to work from home. It's all these changes. So grief is definitely now, it's universal.
Like the loss of the routine, you would say, right? The loss of freedom. Reading an article is like loss of freedom. So that's a loss right there.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why there's not just one type of loss, which is when someone dies. There's different types. And I think the sooner you realize that this is how often grief comes up is like so huge. So speaking as someone who took the grief recovery method, the support group, and you were the head, what do you call it? Who are you? The head person? Like you're the moderator?
So I guess I would be the facilitator. I ran the group, and it was an 8-week group. And I mean, if you want to share your experience with it.
Yeah, so when I was going into the group, I was, so I guess I started when I lost my cousin 2 years ago, Dasa, and I was just very upset, like things, like I had triggers, like I would just start crying out of nowhere, and I was saying like I really need something, I really need something like for my mind to help me get through this. And then you posted it on Instagram, and I was like, this seems amazing. And you talk about the book, right? It's based off of the book, The Grief Recovery Method, The Grief Recovery Handbook. Yes, and that's how grief recovery address trauma and PTSD. So I don't know. I felt like going in, I was going to learn more like strategies, like, oh, do this when you feel that, more like a toolkit kind of. But really, I feel like it just opened my eyes of the different types of forms of grief that I have gone through and how it like can pile up. And just like even like grief, like death of a loved one, death of a pet, all those things, they really like you get affected by those losses. And
Yeah.
then like you have to jot down all your losses and you're like, wow, yeah, like I lost my pet and then I lost like my cousin and then I lost my uncle. And you're like, whoa, like that all happened in 6 months. That's why I was so upset. And that's why I engaged in STIRBs, which I want to
Yes.
talk about. So what are STIRBs?
Okay, so STIRBs is a fancy way of saying, like, I guess you could say unhealthy coping tools.
Well, it stands for, right, short term.
It stands for short-term energy relieving behaviors. So
short-term energy relieving behaviors, STIRBs.
yes.
That really opened up my eyes of how we use STIRBs to get through grief.
Yes. And, I don't know if you're comfortable. You don't have to share your STIRBs, but
I'm not going to share my STIRBs. I'm just saying I'm going to get the list of all the different types of STIRBs.
And you know what? STIRBs, if you look at the list of STIRBs or the list that you wrote down, it's not, it could be everyday things that people do, but what happens is...
Hold on, let me say the STIRBs first so everyone knows. All right, so the STIRBs are, use it as a guideline to help determine whether you have been relying on short-term relief. Food, alcohol/drugs, anger, exercise, fantasy, like movies, TV, books, isolation, sex, shopping, humorously called retail therapy, and workaholism. So it's like, that sounds like a big list there.
Yeah, it's very common, all those things. And, I myself have used quite a few of those STIRBs, like work. I know when I've gone through losses in my life, I jump to, okay, like I got to quote, keep busy and keep myself busy so I don't think about so much of the grief and loss. But in fact, it's long term, it doesn't help you at all when you're just... So I've learned, okay, yes, like I love work. I take my work seriously, but also there's a time for self-care, and there's a time that when I need to release and express my grief to someone I trust, to someone I love, that I need to get it out there and, cope with it in a healthy way versus using work as a way to, right.
So you were saying that like even everyday things can like turn into STIRBs or like be a STIRB before I gave the list. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine. Like, I
wanted to get back to your point.
Yes. Think about eating. We all have to eat, right? And, people could end up overeating if they're going through, loss. Even now, like, I'm sure people being stuck at home right now, there's probably so much STIRBing right now. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of eating, and I'm sure there is more drinking now. Maybe even the shopping, like the online shopping.
Yes. Or the fantasy, you're just like watching TV and reading books all day, and like maybe you need to incorporate some exercise, a little bit more balance,
Yes.
Have you been STIRBing all in one category kind of thing? Like,
right. And you know what? It's, of course, it's not bad to watch TV, not bad to eat. Like, I don't want to come off like you can't do those things, period. It's just what happens is if you're overly, let's say overeating or even like
work or alcohol, drinking.
Right.
Like isolation was one of them.
Right. So there's so much of that happening right now, and my heart goes, my heart breaks for a lot of, everyone right now, because everyone is struggling in some way. Even if you don't have the coronavirus, even if you don't have symptoms, you are still struggling as well. And of course, have the people working in the hospitals and all these people that have to go to work. And it's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of selflessness, and putting their lives at risk. So it's, I want to thank,
shout out to everyone.
Shout out.